Hello Marsden, Valcherash. It's Marie from Skeletorama again. Welcome back to my channel. So we are doing episode number 4 of case number 4 now, I think. I'm so confused. Anyway, we're doing something with bookshelves. So we are going to be finishing up the 2 bookcases that go on the side of our fireplace and overmantle and seeing how everything looks all together. So I hope you enjoy it. Okay, so we have our little bookshelves now are all stained. It's not an exact match, but it's a close enough match that it'll be fine. So now what we're going to do is we are going to install them. Okay, so I'm going to put my book back in here, and I'm going to take my little shelf, and I'm going to put glue right along this edge here, right along this edge here, and right along this edge here. Okay, and I'm going to put it a little bit higher than my book just so I got some wiggle room. I'm going to sit it in here, and I'm going to hold it up this way and make sure that it's straight. Oop. Okay, so to that end I can take another bookshelf and kind of put it in here for a second and make sure that it's sitting straight that way. A little bit crooked. All right, so there's that, and then I'm going to grab my ruler. Let's grab this one here, and I'm going to measure it and make sure that it's the same. So this is right at 3 centimeters, and this can go up just a teensy tiny hair right there. Okay, so there's one shelf. Now to do the other one, since we want them to be even, I'm just going to sit these next to each other. I'm going to grab another one, and I'm going to put glue on this end and this bottom part. I'm not going to worry so much about the extra glue on this one, just because I'm done putting finishes on it and you're not really going to see it. So we're going to have books in front of it. Okay, so I've got the glue on this one, and I'm going to put it into this piece and match where it is, because I want these to be the same, both of them. Okay, so I'm going to hold it up. This looks like this go up just a tiny bit. And use my little ruler here and make sure I'm equal on both sides. Let's go up just a little tiny bit more. It's about 1 millimeter more. Okay, and hold these here. Those look pretty much even-ish. There we go. Okay, so there's one installed. So I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to give these a second, I think, and then I'll sit this book here, and then I'm going to do the same sort of deal with the next one, work my way up. Okay, just a little more in frame so you can see it, and so I can see it, so we can all see it. So those look straight, more or less. I almost never do them actually straight. So it's just a little off to me there. There we go. Look for that one. That's better. Okay, so these are basically the same, both of them, and they're as straight as they're going to get for me. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to let these set up just a tiny bit. Just because I don't want to knock them out of place when we go to put on this top piece. But then we're going to put the top pieces on both of these. But before we do that, we're going to get both these top pieces out. So these will go on the front, and then they're going to have this piece right here covering them. Okay, so just to be on the safe side, I'm going to take my alcohol marker. I'm going to color this surface in here. I'm going to go a little bit on the outside of this just in case I miss. So that took long enough that these should be good to go. So we're going to go ahead and put these pieces on here now. Okay, so this piece is going to sit on top of here. So we're going to flip this over. Actually, you know what? We're going to do it on here. I think it'll be a lot easier. So we're just going to get these flat areas here. Kind of hard to see them. It's even harder to aim for them. So any of the dips where it goes in, glue on the top. And then we'll put a little bit down here at the bottom where those little bottom pieces are going to go. And then we'll do the inside of all the tabs. That should do it. Doesn't matter which one we grab, really. They should both be the same. Oh, and then we have this little bit right here too. So I'll put a little bit here. I'll put it on the both sides of this tab because we'll be contacting both sides of that. Okay. I do it where the part we colored is facing up, and I'm going to wiggle it into these first, and then we'll work our way down. And then make sure it's going in at the bottom. It's contacting everything, and I'm going to kind of hold this and just keep it in contact with this stuff until my glue grabs real good. Okay, and see how it looks with the shelves, and that looks pretty good. Not too shabby. All right, so I'm gonna do the same for this one. There we go. So I'm gonna let this dry for a little bit. I'll come back to you guys and we will start putting some of these pieces on here. All right, so just like we did before with the other stuff, we're gonna let this sit over here, keep drying. But we're going to go ahead and do all the edges of these with the brown pen. So that way, if they show, we don't have to worry about it. I think we'll do the sides first and then the fronts. It'll probably be the best. So now we've got those all colored around. So I think we're going to start with the sides first. So I'll set this over on the side. It's got like this decorative piece, so that's going to be the top. And when I put it on here, I'm going to put it on so that it's level with the front of it and the top. Okay. I think for this, I think we'll go ahead and do Mod Podge for it. Shall we? Yeah, might as well. Because that way I can get this, well, no, actually, you know what? I'm going to use the PVA glue this time. And we will Mod Podge over it, but we just want to give it the best chance of sticking down really well. And we'll probably end up having to sand over the edges. It's much easier to sand over it if you don't have Mod Podge on the top of it. It makes it a little more difficult with the Mod Podge. Okay, so with this, my little bottle, I can get right to the edges of stuff. So I'll make sure that is the top. It is the top. And then I'm just going to line this up. And I'm going to press it down gently because, again, this is fairly thin, this material that this is made from. So I definitely don't want to go messing any of that up. Okay, so there's one side. I think I've got it as far to the front as I can. So we're going to do this, same thing, and get this side. And with this stuff, I do try to get it very close to the edge of the glue. All right. It's here, and then we're just going to press it down. It is really amazing how well the kits that Laura Carson does for these, to cover these, how well they match it. I mean, this right here, there's almost no sanding that's going to need to be done. I'll probably hit the edges just to make sure, but I definitely want to keep pressing this down, make sure it's going to lay nice and flat. And then I'll do the same to this one. Okay, got my top up here. And yes, I do have to look every time, sadly, because I can't tell you how many things I have glued on upside down. But at least the nice thing with this is I always get these as the digital kit, and then I just print it out on cardstock, really good, like Nina cardstock. So that way, if I screw it up and I have to pull this off for some reason, you know, I can go print another one, you know, and have a do-over. Whereas, you know, Alpha Stamps does have the option where you can buy it and they'll send it to you and they print it for you, but you only get the one copy, you know. So to me, that it makes a lot more sense to just go ahead and buy the digital file if you can. If you don't have a printer, you can always take stuff like this and have it printed for you at, you know, Office Depot, Office Max, those types of places, Staples, whomever. You know, and they can print it for you, and you can get stuff printed on some really nice specialty paper too, and you don't have to buy an entire ream of, say, photo paper. If you want to use photo paper for this, you can. So usually it'll end up being probably about $1 a sheet. Whoa, see, almost did it upside down. But you know, it's worth it if you don't want to deal with having a printer and all that kind of stuff. So put this on here. Press this down really good. Put the top on this. And we're going to let this set up for just a few minutes. The key is that the edges like to kind of flare up on you. So that's what I'm usually doing when I'm pressing this down. I'm really concentrating on pressing these edges down, so that if anything, they're going to tend to go down instead of up. All right, so now with this, I'm just going to take my sanding block and I'm going to go along the edge and make sure it's nice and flush with it. Same with the front. See? Like it really didn't take anything off. Will this take off your marker that you put on? Yep. So if that's the case and it ends up you had cut it too large or something and you had to sand a bunch off, just when you're done sanding, you grab your marker out again, start from the back of your piece, and you just go straight down. Boom, right? Same with this, because we haven't covered this side yet. We'll just go straight down. And try to resist the temptation to just, oh, well, I'm here, I'll just go hit it this way, because I promise you, that's when you'll go over. It's almost like you're being punished, right, for having thought that was a good idea. All right, so let's hit this other one here. This should be good now. The Scotch PVA glue doesn't take very long either. Not quite as fast as my Fabri-Tac, but it's pretty quick. And you especially want this to be nice and flush for the front, because we're putting this over, and in theory this should overhang the edges of this too. So you don't want these sticking up, because then it's going to make this stick up and it's going to look weird. All right, let's just hit our edges just because. What this is going to do too is this is going to get not only the edge of our paper, but a little bit of the edge of this chipboard here. So if this turns out it's a little small, it's not going to be off by much. Okay, so now we're going to do this part here. So with this one, I definitely want to glue it down by putting the glue on here versus here, because these are kind of floppy, right? You're going to have these are going every which way. They're going to stick to each other. They're going to stick to whatever you don't want it to. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the glue. I'm going to put it on this top part here. I'm going to go all the way up to the edge to about there and get a nice amount of glue in here. And then I'm going to glue each of these down separately, just so it's more manageable for me, right? So I'll put this up here. I'm going to line this up. The important feature is to make sure you're lining it up here, but you definitely want to line it up with this arch here. Oops, and you don't want to move it while you're trying to press it down and get it out of whack, okay? And then make sure that this stuff is lining up with the other decorative bit there, so it's not got an obvious difference to it. Okay, now that that's holding pretty good, I'm just going to take this one, I'm going to lift it up, and I'm going to put glue all the way down this. Same thing, I'm going to go right up to this edge, because I really want this held down really well, because this is the whole facade of our, you know, little bookcases here. We will go over this with Mod Podge also. This way we can just kind of press this down like so. And it's a lot easier to manage this way. Okay, I'm going to kind of get any extra glue from there. Try to wipe it off my hands because I just smudged onto the front like an idiot. Same thing over here. So this one I'm going to let this set up. I'm just going to keep running my fingers down, make sure it's staying nice and flat against here. You don't need to do this for terribly long, just once it grabs it really good. Okay, so there's that one. So I'm going to do the same thing on this. I'll do this on fast forward though, since I already walked you through it. So that's those. We're going to let those sit there and dry really good. And we will turn our attention to these tops. So probably the best way to deal with these, looks like it's made to kind of wrap around them. So we're going to take each one, we're going to go ahead and glue it to the center of this. I'm guessing these are made this way so that you can take them on and off. So if you put a light in there, you can access them. I don't know how well they're going to stay just sitting on top of there though, so that'll be interesting. Okay, so I'm going to aim for the little corners of this. Try to get it centered as best I can. And then, you know, as I'm pushing down on this, I'm also starting to push these over this way. So that way I can make sure I've got a nice solid connection on the parts where it's connecting to the edge. Okay, do the same with this. And it doesn't meet exactly at those little corners, so I'm just trying to make sure it's lined up so that when this stuff folds over, it will at least, you know, hide the very corners of it. Probably should have colored that in. We can do that here in just a second though. If you're going to see it anywhere, that's where you're going to end up seeing some of the chipboard peeking through. So go here to this one, and I'm just going to color these corners real quick. I don't think it's going to make much of a difference. It's not really making a difference. We can do it after if we need to too. All right. So that's that part there. So I'm going to get my bone folder out. Okay, and I'm going to go along each of these, and I'm just going to fold it like this, and I'm going to crease it up, because that way when I do fold it, I want to make sure this corner is nice and sharp. And it's much easier when you go to glue it if you've already pre-folded it, because then it's going to behave the way you expect it to and the way you want it to, and it's not going to give you too soft of an edge. Okay, same thing. I'm going to go over this, fold this straight down, and I'm going to bone folder this as well. Okay, so now what I've basically done is I've made two folds. I've made one, you know, because you've got whatever this is, looks like about a 1/16 of an inch width of your material. So you need to fold right there at that edge, and then when you come up, you need to fold again, so that when you're done, it looks more like a piece of wood rather than a piece of cardboard we've just covered in paper. Okay, so now to put the glue on this, I think I'm going to do the long ends first. No, I'll do the short ends first. Because the long ends are going to be the ones that are more visible. Okay, so I'm just going to put glue on there, bring this up and around and press it real good. You know, I've already put my creases in there, so I don't have to worry about that. And make sure you're getting at least just a little bit of it right in that part where it's going to contact the edge. So that way it'll stick down real good. And then I usually kind of burnish the ends again. So I make sure they're on there nice and tight. Okay, and now I'm going to do this side here. And see what I mean about the corner? You can kind of see the corner has that white edge, so I'll probably either put that to the back or hit it with the marker, see if that helps. But I'm going to wait till this is dry. Because A, with the glue on there, it's not going to cover it right anyway, but B, you don't want to destroy your alcohol marker by getting glue on it, and that will destroy it. All right, so let's do this one too. So there's these. I'm going to sit a 1, 2, 3 block on top of these just a little bit, because of course they're going to tend to want to bow because I put the glue and paper mostly on the one side. So we're going to let these kind of sit, and we're going to see if these need any kind of sanding, and I don't really think they do. The danger with sanding this side is that you'll scuff this paper on the side, and I think it's fine. It may need just a little bit at the top. And then down here where we didn't really do anything, I'm going to go ahead and very carefully color this. Because I was thinking something was going to go over it, but it didn't. So I don't want this to look like cardboard. I want it to look like maybe wood? I don't know. Wood-ish. Did I get that? I got that. All right. So now what we're going to do is we're going to do the Mod Podge thing on this too, so that it can have that same kind of shiny look. Usually when I do that on something like this, or if I'm doing Altoid tins or something, I kind of like to put the glue sort of sideways so it's pushing it into that corner between those two papers. So it definitely helps seal that down. So make sure, if like I did, you had some buildup there, get that at least even so it won't look weird on you. And I'm going to go ahead and do these two while I've got them here. I'm still unsure what I'm going to do with them, but at least they'll be slightly glossy-ish. All right, so let that dry and I will come back to you in a few minutes. So looks like these have dried plenty here. I mean, there's still a couple of spots where they're some Mod Podge needs dry, but I just wanted to try these on here, and these fit really nicely on here. So I think, again, these are designed so that you can put them here, but you can take them off if you want to, you know, use a light in there. I don't know that I'm going to use a light in there, just because the ones that I did get, they're like these little bubble lights, and I think they're designed to be put like in balloons or something. I have no idea where they are. And they're tiny. So I really don't have any idea where they are. I put them somewhere that I thought was very clever, I'm sure, and who the hell knows where they are. So am I going to use lights in this? Probably not, because in order to turn lights on, I would then have to remove this from the dollhouse, from where it lives, turn the lights on, stick it back. That's why if you have the ability and are comfortable enough wiring your dollhouse, that's why it's a good idea to do that. Because otherwise the alternative, it's a pain in the tail to do any of that. So, well, let's just fling that wherever. I'm going to take my marker here, and I'm going to very carefully just get these edges where it's like really white. And I'm going to color that over on these very corners. And then we'll see which side looks the best, and we're just going to glue this thing in place. That's what we're going to do. All right, there's one, and this one. Nice thing is this marker is a very good match for this color of the wood on the paper. So, although I'm sure on here it'll look a lot more obvious. Okay, so that's that. So I'm just going to put glue right around this surface here, and I'm just going to glue these on. I'm not going to mess with the lights. But again, you know, you can, what I would kind of advise is if you're going to do that, maybe get a piece of chipboard or something that's about this size smaller or whatever. Put it on the center of that so that at least when you put it on there, it's got something to kind of hold it in place, because you don't want it to just go sliding off or looking weird. So a little bit more than that. There we go. Take this, and we will use this side for the front. We're just going to put this on up here up top, so it's nice and finished. Okay, set that over there, and I'll do this one. Same thing. I like this side better, so this will go here. Perfect. All right, so there's those. I'm going to give these a second to really grab so I can lay it down and show you how it looks with our mantle here. Okay, so this is designed to look like this along the wall. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go take this out to the dollhouse. I'm going to look and see which one it looks best with. I'm probably going to glue these all together so it's just one unit. And which one it looks okay in is going to determine what we put in here. So yeah, I'm going to go do that step real quick, and I shall return. So yeah, I'll be back in a minute. Actually, before I take this out there, since I know that is how I want it, I'm going to go ahead and glue these into one unit, because it's just easier to do that now versus later. So I'm just using PVA glue for this because it'll hold it just fine. Okay, making sure these are even at the bottom. Wipe away any of that glue that comes in there. I'm not going to try to do clamps just because if I miss, and I will, I'll destroy either this or this. So we're just going to put them together. They don't have to be, you know, the most perfect things in the world. It's okay. Okay, so I'm gonna let this set up, then I'll take it out to the dollhouse, and then I'll come back. I'll probably bring this out there and show you guys too. All right, so let's take a look and see how this fits. We'll put it in the upper floor. It would probably actually go in the lower floor, but I'm gonna set this here. up against the wall like so. So as you can see, hopefully you can see, okay, it does kind of fit in there. It's nice and low profile, so it's not taking up a ton of the room. So it would work, especially right here, actually, where I have it in sort of the more study type room, which is what this will be, because that'll be more of a living room. So it would work in there. So let's see how it would work in the housekeeper's room in the Mad Scientist Mansion. Okay, so here we are at the Mad Scientist Mansion, the addition here. And so let's put this here. Now the drawback is we have baseboard. And you know, that's another one of those considerations when you're putting stuff in. If you want to do a big wall unit like this, you're really going to want to install it prior to doing your baseboard. And this looks fantastic in here as well, I think. It really fits with the scale of the room, and it would give her a really nice, you know, fireplace thing. And I have to do a really small bed. And we'll just have to ignore the fact that we don't see a door there. just we'll pretend the door was on this wall here. What the hell, you know? But I think that would look kind of cute there as well. So I'm torn as to which one I want to put it in. I think I might want to put it in the addition because I do need to work on that as well. But we also have one more piece that we need to put on there, and that is the fireplace grate where the embers and stuff would be, you know, where you put the wood to burn it. So I'll meet you back in the craft room for that. Right, so that is it for episode 4, and we've got our bookcases and everything together, and it's looking fantastic. And we're actually progressing kind of right on schedule if you do 1 kit per episode. So I'm not doing as bad as I think. I don't know. But anyways, so in the next episode, we are going to tackle the firebox that goes inside of it. Will I ever find the glowing embers thing that I got? Probably not. But someday I will, and it's going to look great in there when I do. So anyways, hope to see you guys then. Give me a mischief. Beannachd. Bye.